Don't eat sugar. Don't eat rice. Forget about mangoes. Basically, stop enjoying life. If you have been diagnosed with diabetes, prediabetes, or even POS, you've likely heard this 1,000 times. But here is the shocking truth. The forbidden fruit approach is exactly why 90% of people fail to control their sugar levels long-term. When you tell your brain you can't have something, your biology revolts. Your cortisol levels rise. High cortisol triggers your liver to dump stored glucose into your blood through a process called gluconeogenesis. Ironically, your extreme stress about sugar spikes your blood sugar even more than a bowl of rice would have. I'm Nina, and for 1 decade, I've been obsessed with the intersection of clinical nutrition and metabolic health. Today, we are ending the confusion once and for all. I'm going to show you how to flip the script. We aren't going to talk about dieting, which implies a temporary state of suffering. We're going to talk about metabolic engineering. This video is a deep dive masterclass. We are pulling research from Harvard Medical School, the University of Sydney, the birthplace of the glycemic index, and the latest clinical trials on food sequencing from Weill Cornell. We are going to explore 3 simple, science-backed rules that will decide the fate of your health, plus a deep dive into the hidden science that your doctor might not have time to explain in a 10-minute checkup. In this masterclass, we will cover metabolic flexibility, why your body forgot how to burn sugar and how to retrain it, the plate architecture, using the fiber-first barrier to stop spikes before they start, the molecular starch hack, how a simple cooling technique changes the physical structure of rice and potatoes, the protein vacuum, how muscle acts as a sink for excess glucose, the circadian rhythm of insulin, why when you eat is just as important as what you eat. Grab a notebook and a glass of water. This is the Health Hustle Definitive Guide to Reclaiming Your Metabolic Freedom. Part 1. The biochemistry of the spike. Fixing the broken pipe. To fix the problem, we have to look under the hood. When you eat a carbohydrate, your body breaks it down into a simple sugar called glucose. $C_6H_12O_6. This glucose enters your bloodstream, and your body uses it for its primary fuel. In a healthy body, your pancreas releases insulin. Think of insulin as a security guard with a master key. It walks to your muscle and liver cells, unlocks the door, and pushes the glucose inside to be used for energy. The crisis: insulin resistance. In type 2 diabetes or prediabetes, the lock on the cell door is jammed. This is insulin resistance. Because the cells won't open, your pancreas pumps out more insulin to force the door. Eventually, the pancreas gets exhausted, and the glucose stays stuck in your blood. High blood sugar is like pouring syrup into a car's engine. It caramelizes your proteins in a process called glycation. This is measured by your HbA1c test. If this continues, it leads to nerve damage, kidney issues, and chronic inflammation. The personal fat threshold theory. Research from Newcastle University suggests that everyone has a personal fat threshold. Once you cross this threshold, fat starts storing in the liver and pancreas, clogging the insulin response. The good news? Science shows this is often reversible through the very rules we are discussing today. We aren't just lowering sugar, we are clearing the clog in the machinery. Part 2. Rule number 1. Plate architecture and the molecular starch hack. Rule number 1 is about plate architecture. This is the physical arrangement and molecular state of your meal. You can eat the same amount of calories, but if the architecture is different, the sugar response changes entirely. The retrogradation rice hack. For years, diabetics were told to quit rice, but a landmark study presented at the American Chemical Society found a way to make rice significantly safer. The technique: add a teaspoon of healthy fat like coconut oil or ghee to boiling water, add your rice, cook it, and then refrigerate it for 12 to 24 hours. The science: this process causes a molecular change called retrogradation. The digestible starch converts into resistant starch type 3 to the benefit. Resistant starch acts like fiber. It isn't broken down in your small intestine. Instead, it travels to your large intestine, where it acts as a prebiotic, feeding your gut microbiome. This lowers the glycemic impact and slashes the glucose spike by up to 50%. The best part: you can reheat the rice the next day, and the resistant starch remains. The fiber-first barrier. Data from Weill Cornell Medical College prove that eating vegetables before carbohydrates can reduce post-meal glucose spikes by nearly 75%. The hack: always start your meal with a green starter. Whether it's a bowl of salad, sautéed spinach, or stir-fried okra, the fiber creates a viscous mesh in your small intestine. This mesh acts like a physical filter, slowing down how quickly sugar from your roti or rice can enter the blood. Part 3. Rule number 2. The carb budget and the sequencing protocol. Rule number 2 is carbohydrate budgeting. In the Health Hustle philosophy, We don't count calories, we count metabolic impacts. The math of management. Clinical guidelines suggest a safe zone for most individuals to avoid the danger zone of spikes. Women, 30 to 45 grams of net carbs per meal. Men, 45 to 60 grams of net carbs per meal. What does 30g look like? 1 medium roti, 15g, plus 1 bowl of dal, 8g, plus a large serving of vegetables, 5g, equals 28g. That the result? You have room in your budget. This means you can have a small piece of dark chocolate or a handful of berries at the end of the meal without crossing the threshold. The sequential eating biohack. This is the most underrated tool in metabolic health. A study in the journal Diabetes Care showed that changing the order of food is as effective as some pharmaceutical interventions. The Nina sequencing protocol. Fiber first. The filters start with your vegetables or salad. Protein and fat second. The slower painter, eggs, chicken or dal. Fats and proteins trigger the release of a hormone called GLP-1, which slows down gastric emptying. This means the food stays in your stomach longer, preventing a dumping of sugar into the blood. Carbs last. The guests now eat your rice or roti. By the time the carbs reach your intestine, the filter is already in place, and the slower has delayed the process. The vinegar trick. Research from Arizona State University found that consuming 1 tablespoon of apple cider vinegar, diluted in a large glass of water, before a high-carb meal can improve insulin sensitivity by 34%. The acetic acid in vinegar temporarily deactivates the enzymes in your saliva and stomach that break down starch, ensuring a much slower release of sugar into the blood. Part 4. Rule number 3. Protein and muscle. The glucose vacuum. Rule number 3 is the protein priority. Most people think of protein for bodybuilders, but for anyone with sugar issues, protein is a metabolic shield. Muscle as a metabolic sink. Your skeletal muscles are responsible for clearing about 80% of the glucose from your blood after you eat. The problem, if you have low muscle mass, even if you look thin, you have nowhere to store the sugar. It stays in the blood, causing damage. The solution? You must hit a protein target of 1.2 g to 1.5 g per kg of body weight. If you weigh 70 kilograms, you need about 84 g to 100 g of protein a day. The leucine trigger and satiety. Protein contains an amino acid called leucine, which sends a signal to your brain that you are full. It also stimulates muscle repair. When you prioritize protein, you stop the sugar cravings that usually hit 2 hours after a carb-heavy meal. The post-meal GLUT4 activation. After you eat, your blood sugar rises. You have a 30-minute window to act. The 10-minute walk. Research from the University of Otago found that a short walk after meals was significantly more effective than a long walk at any other time. The science. Movement triggers GLUT4 transporters to migrate to the surface of your muscle cells. These transporters vacuum the sugar out of your blood without needing extra insulin. It's like a secret back door into the cell that bypasses insulin resistance. Part 5. The hidden factors: fructose, sleep, and stress. You can eat the perfect diet, but if these 3 hidden factors are ignored, your sugar will remain high. The fructose and fatty liver connection. Table sugar is 50% glucose and 50% fructose. Glucose is used by every cell in your body. Fructose can only be processed by your liver. When you drink fruit juice or sodas, the liver gets overwhelmed. It turns that fructose into fat, causing non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, NAFLD. A fatty liver is an insulin-resistant liver. This is why natural fruit juices are often just as bad as soda for a diabetic. They lack the fiber that slows down the fructose hit. The circadian rhythm of insulin. Your body follows a biological clock. Research shows we are naturally most insulin sensitive in the morning and most insulin resistant as the sun goes down. The rule: eat breakfast like a king, lunch like a prince, and dinner like a pauper. Eating a high-carb meal at 10 p.m. is nearly 3 times more damaging to your blood sugar than eating that same meal at 1 p.m. The sleep-sugar axis. One single night of poor sleep, less than 6 hours, can increase insulin resistance by up to 40% the next morning. Lack of sleep spikes cortisol, which tells the liver to produce more sugar for energy to keep you awake. This creates a vicious cycle of fatigue and high sugar. Part 6. Data-driven health. Moving beyond guesswork. Stop guessing and start testing. If you truly want to master your metabolism, you need data. The power of the CGM. If possible, try continuous glucose monitor, CGM, for just 2 weeks. One person might eat a potato and stay perfectly stable but spike dangerously from oatmeal. Another person might be fine with whole wheat bread but spike from white rice. This is called bioindividuality. A CGM shows you exactly how your unique gut microbiome and genetics react to specific foods. the 7-Day Health Hustle Challenge. For 1 week, don't change what you eat, but change the order and the timing. Drink vinegar/water before your largest meal. Eat your salad first. Walk for 10 minutes after the meal. Track your numbers. You will be amazed at how much they drop without you having to give up a single calorie. Conclusion: reclaiming your vitality. Diabetes is a serious condition, but it does not have to be a prison sentence of bland food and constant restriction. You do not have to live a life of no. You just have to live a life of how. By applying the Health Hustle rules. Fiber first sequencing, the filter, the 12-hour starch cooling hack, the molecular shift, the 10-minute post-meal walk, the vacuum, prioritizing 1.2 g of protein, the shield. You're giving your body the physiological tools it needs to heal the broken pipes of your metabolism. You are the CEO of your own health. And today, you've just received the master plan. If this deep dive masterclass helped you understand your body better, please smash that like button. It tells the algorithm that science-based health content matters. Subscribe to Health Hustle and join our community of people who are reclaiming their energy and their lives. Take care of your body. It is the only home you have. Keep laughing, keep smiling, and keep learning something new every day so that you can keep up with the Health Hustle. Would you like me to provide a list of the top 10 metabolic superfoods you should add to your grocery list this week?